Why making love with a narcissist hurts, but makes you addicted? Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where, despite the emotional pain and confusion, you just couldn't seem to break free? It's as if the highs of the connection, particularly in moments of intimacy, draw you back in, even when you know it's unhealthy. The love, the chemistry, the rush, and the emotional roller coaster feel intoxicating, almost like a drug you can't quit. But at the same time, you're left with feelings of emptiness, loneliness, or even being emotionally abused. If this sounds familiar, you may have experienced intimacy with a narcissist. Narcissists have a unique way of making relationships feel addictive, while also leaving you emotionally drained. This paradox, where making love with a narcissist hurts but feels addictive, is not an accident. It's a result of their manipulation, control, and ability to exploit your vulnerabilities. In this video, we'll dive deep into why this happens, why it's so difficult to break free, and how the psychological effects of being involved with a narcissist create an emotional trap that is hard to escape. By the end, you'll understand why this cycle of emotional highs and lows is so painful and addictive, and why narcissists are often able to manipulate their partners in ways that keep them hooked. The narcissistic charmer, the love bombing stage. Before we get into the complexities of intimacy with a narcissist, let's first examine how narcissists draw you in emotionally. Love bombing is a term used to describe the overwhelming, excessive affection that narcissists give their partners in the initial stages of a relationship. When a narcissist first comes into your life, they can seem like a dream come true. They are charming, attentive, and seem to understand you better than anyone ever has. They shower you with compliments, take you on extravagant dates, and constantly remind you how special and unique you are. But this intense, almost obsessive behavior isn't about love, it's about control. Narcissists are very skilled at mirroring their partner's desires, hopes, and dreams. They make you feel seen, desired, and valued, but this is done with the purpose of creating an emotional bond that they can later manipulate. The compliments they give, the constant praise, the sexual attention, they are all meant to make you feel like you're the only person in the world who matters. It feels incredible. However, the reason it feels so amazing is that, for a narcissist, you are not just a partner, you're a tool for self-validation. They need you to reflect their idealized image of themselves. This is why, during this phase, they may even seem to possess all the qualities you've ever wanted in a partner. They mirror your desires so accurately that it feels as though the connection is deep, profound, and perfectly aligned. It's intoxicating. But this behavior doesn't last forever. The love bombing phase is just the beginning. The real manipulation starts once you're emotionally invested, and the highs give way to the lows. It's the emotional pull that keeps you hooked. The addictive nature of intimacy with a narcissist. Now let's get into why making love with a narcissist is so emotionally charged and, paradoxically, so addictive. When you're physically intimate with a narcissist, it's not just about sex, it's about power. Narcissists are constantly seeking admiration, control, and validation. They use intimacy as one of their primary tools to achieve these goals. A narcissist might seem to know exactly what you need emotionally and physically, which can feel incredibly validating in the moment. They are attuned to your desires, your body language, and your vulnerabilities, and they will use this knowledge to create a powerful illusion of connection. This creates an illusion of a deep, soulful connection, something real, something that feels genuine. In fact, many narcissists are experts at being emotionally available during these intimate moments because they know how to manipulate your emotions and create a sense of dependency. Here's where the paradox comes in. The act of intimacy feels deeply satisfying, even though the emotional aftermath can be devastating. While you may experience physical pleasure or feel loved in the moment, once the act is over, the narcissist often pulls away, leaving you feeling emotionally abandoned. The constant emotional vacillation between being wanted and then ignored is a hallmark of narcissistic manipulation. The cycle of emotional highs and lows, created through love bombing followed by withdrawal, is a form of intermittent reinforcement. Intermittent reinforcement, a psychological concept rooted in behaviorism, explains why we get hooked on the highs, even when they're infrequent. This principle occurs when rewards, like affection, attention, or validation, are given unpredictably. Our brain becomes wired to seek out the reward because we never know when it will come, which makes the craving for it even stronger. This is why, even when you know that intimacy with a narcissist might hurt you in the long run, you keep returning, hoping to experience that fix again. The psychological power of trauma bonds. One of the reasons it's so difficult to break free from a narcissistic relationship, especially after intimate encounters, is because of the trauma bond that forms. Trauma bonding is the emotional attachment that forms between a victim and their abuser, usually as a result of cycles of emotional highs and lows. The narcissist keeps you emotionally on edge by providing just enough affection, admiration, and intimacy to make you crave more, while simultaneously withdrawing or manipulating you when it suits them. This dynamic of affection followed by emotional withdrawal creates confusion. The highs feel euphoric, and the lows feel devastating. Over time, your emotional well-being becomes tied to the narcissist's actions. When they withdraw, you feel abandoned, lost, and rejected, leading you to constantly crave their approval and attention. The trauma bond deepens the more you experience this pattern, making it harder to leave. Another reason narcissists maintain control over their partners is that they often make their partners feel responsible for the relationship's ups and downs. Narcissists are great at gaslighting, manipulating their partners into doubting their own reality or perception. When they withhold affection, they often turn it around and blame you, making you feel as if you're somehow at fault for their emotional withdrawal. This not only increases your emotional dependency, but also intensifies your desire to fix things, which often involves more attempts to win their approval and affection. The emotional toll, why it hurts. So, why does making love with a narcissist hurt? The pain is often not from the physical act itself, but from the emotional cost. Narcissists are often emotionally unavailable. They may appear charming, passionate, and even caring at first, but their lack of true emotional investment becomes clear over time. When intimacy with a narcissist is over, you may feel a sense of emotional emptiness because their love is conditional. It's not based on who you are as a person. It's based on how well you serve their needs. This conditional love is incredibly damaging. Narcissists will give you affection and attention when it serves their ego, but they will withdraw it when they feel you no longer serve their purpose. It leaves you feeling discarded, unwanted, and unimportant. And yet, the lure of intimacy with them makes you crave the validation they provided, even if it was fleeting. The emotional pain of intimacy with a narcissist also comes from the realization that the connection is one-sided. Narcissists are incapable of true empathy. While they might know how to make you feel loved or valued in the moment, they are ultimately focused on themselves. They may pretend to care about your needs, but deep down they are using you for their own emotional gratification. This creates a void within the relationship that can never be filled, no matter how much intimacy you experience. The cycle continues. You give more, they take more, and in the end, you feel emotionally drained. The struggle to break free. If you've been involved with a narcissist, you know the difficulty of breaking free from this toxic cycle. It's not just about leaving a person. It's about breaking free from an addictive emotional cycle. The highs are so intense and the lows are so painful that the cycle feels almost impossible to escape. This is where self-awareness and self-care are crucial. Narcissists have a way of making you doubt your own worth, and it's easy to get trapped in the belief that you need them in your life. But the reality is that the love you crave is not real. It's a projection, a manipulation, and an illusion. To break free, you must recognize the narcissist for what they truly are and understand the emotional traps they set for you. The key to breaking free from a narcissist is to reclaim your own sense of self-worth and recognize that you deserve a relationship where love is reciprocal, authentic, and unconditional. Rebuilding your self-esteem is essential, and that process begins with acknowledging the manipulation, recognizing your emotional needs, and healing from the trauma bond. Thank you for staying with me throughout this deep dive into the complexities of intimacy with a narcissist. I hope this video has shed light on why such relationships are both painful and addictive, and why they can be so difficult to escape. Narcissistic relationships are often a web of manipulation and control, but understanding the psychology behind them is the first step in breaking free. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to continue the conversation. Remember, you are not alone, and you deserve a love that is genuine and nurturing. Take care of yourself, and never settle for anything less than real, healthy love. What happens when a narcissist realizes they've messed up? Have you ever been in a situation where a narcissist in your life suddenly realizes they've messed up? The moment they become aware that they've crossed a line, hurt someone, or failed in some way, how do they respond? Do they apologize sincerely, admit fault, and make amends? Or do they try to twist the situation, deflect blame, and manipulate their way out of responsibility? If you've been involved with a narcissist, you probably already know the answer. Narcissists don't handle mistakes or failures the way other people do. While most individuals may feel genuine remorse when they hurt someone, narcissists tend to respond differently. They rarely take responsibility for their actions, and if they do, it's often in a way that centers their own emotions, struggles, or self-image. In fact, when a narcissist realizes they've messed up, it's rarely about the hurt they caused others. It's about their own wounded ego. This might sound perplexing, but understanding the psychology behind a narcissist's response to failure or error is essential for anyone who's ever found themselves in a relationship with one. In this video, we'll explore the various ways a narcissist reacts when they realize they've messed up. We'll look at their inner emotional landscape, their coping mechanisms, and the steps they take, or don't take, to either repair or manipulate the situation. Most importantly, we'll dive into the question of whether a narcissist can truly change or grow after acknowledging their mistakes, and what you should do if you find yourself in this challenging dynamic. So if you've ever been left wondering what goes through a narcissist's mind when they finally realize they've messed up, stick with me. This deep dive into narcissism might just help you understand why they act the way they do, and how to better navigate these often destructive dynamics. Before we dive deeper into this complex subject, I want to invite you to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. It's not every day that we explore the inner workings of the narcissist's mind and how they handle moments of realization, regret, or even failure. This is a conversation that can change the way you view relationships, especially if you've ever found yourself emotionally tied to someone with narcissistic traits. And trust me, by the end of this discussion, You'll have a deeper understanding of why narcissists behave the way they do when they know they've messed up, and what that means for you. When a narcissist realizes they've messed up, it's a unique and often unsettling experience. For most people, acknowledging mistakes is a part of personal growth and responsibility. When someone recognizes they've hurt someone else, they usually feel remorse, and this can prompt an apology or attempt to make amends. For a narcissist, however, this kind of humility and self-reflection is often alien to them. Narcissism is rooted in a fragile self-esteem, an inflated sense of self-importance, and a deep need for validation. To maintain their sense of superiority, narcissists often go to great lengths to avoid anything that might challenge their carefully curated image. This includes taking responsibility for mistakes or failures. So what happens when they're confronted with the reality that they've messed up? Let's break down the possible responses. The first reaction: denial and defensiveness. When a narcissist first realizes they'd messed up, the most common initial reaction is denial. Narcissists often live in a world where they are the center of attention, always right, and deserving of admiration. When their actions contradict this self-image, when they make a mistake, hurt someone, or fall short of their usual perfection, their first instinct is to reject the idea that they could ever be in the wrong. In this phase, they may deny the issue entirely. They'll try to convince themselves that the problem isn't theirs to own. Instead of taking responsibility, they may try to downplay their actions or completely rewrite the narrative. They might say things like, "It's not as bad as you're making it sound," or "You're overreacting." The key here is deflection. They want to redirect the focus from their mistake and put the blame on others or external circumstances. This is a defense mechanism, a way to protect their fragile ego. If they cannot deny the mistake outright, the narcissist may shift into defensiveness. In this phase, they become highly reactive to any suggestion that they've done something wrong. They might start pointing out every little mistake the other person has made, even if it's unrelated to the current issue. They could say, "Well, you've done the same thing," or "Look at how you've treated me." This is a classic manipulation tactic, turning the conversation back onto the other person in order to avoid facing the consequences of their own behavior. The next step: gaslighting and manipulation. If denial and defensiveness don't work, the narcissist might escalate their tactics to gaslighting. Gaslighting is a psychological manipulation technique where the narcissist makes the other person question their reality, memory, or perception. When a narcissist realizes they've messed up, but refuses to admit it, they might use gaslighting to make you doubt your own experiences. They might say things like, "That never happened," or "You're just imagining things," or "You're too sensitive." The goal is to confuse you to the point where you second-guess your own understanding of the situation. Gaslighting is one of the most powerful tools a narcissist has to avoid accountability because it shifts the blame onto the victim. It makes you feel crazy or irrational for even thinking that they've done something wrong. This is especially harmful in relationships where the narcissist's behavior is abusive or emotionally damaging. If the narcissist can convince you that you're the one at fault, they can continue with their manipulation without facing any consequences. But there's another layer to this process. Narcissists often believe they are justified in their behavior, no matter how hurtful or damaging it might be to others. They see themselves as the victim and will convince themselves that their actions were warranted. They'll rationalize their behavior to the point where they believe they haven't really done anything wrong. In their mind, it's you who are overreacting, or it's society's fault for not understanding them. This sense of self-righteousness makes it even harder for them to admit they've messed up, even if the evidence is glaring. Rare but possible. the apology that isn't really an apology. In rare cases, a narcissist may recognize their mistake and try to apologize. However, it's important to understand that their apology is unlikely to be genuine. Narcissists rarely apologize because they feel genuine remorse. Instead, they might apologize because they need to maintain their image or because they want to manipulate you into forgiving them so they can continue using you for their benefit. When a narcissist apologizes, it's often a calculated move. It may sound like an apology, but it often lacks depth or sincerity. For example, instead of saying, "I'm sorry for the way I hurt you," they might say, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or "I'm sorry you're upset, but I didn't mean to hurt you." Notice how these statements don't take responsibility for their actions. They only acknowledge your feelings. This is a key tactic narcissists use to avoid true accountability while still getting you to forgive them. In some cases, their apology is used as a means of future manipulation. Once they've gotten you to accept their apology, they may go back to their original behavior, knowing that you're more likely to overlook their mistakes in the future. It's a cycle of emotional manipulation that reinforces their sense of power and control over you. The emotional and psychological damage. The reality is that narcissists are often incapable of truly understanding the damage they cause. When they realize they've messed up, their focus isn't on the hurt they've inflicted on others. It's on how this mistake affects their self-image and ego. This means they can leave a trail of emotional devastation in their wake, but rarely will they acknowledge the depth of their actions. For those who are emotionally involved with a narcissist, this can be exhausting and emotionally draining. Living with a narcissist can lead to feelings of confusion, insecurity, and even self-doubt. You might start to feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly second-guessing yourself and questioning your reality. This emotional manipulation can cause lasting psychological damage, leaving you feeling like you're not enough, or like you'll never get the genuine care and empathy you need from the narcissist. The narcissist's inability to empathize with you deepens the hurt, and their refusal to take responsibility for their mistakes only adds to the pain. Moving forward, what does this mean for you? So, what do you do when a narcissist realizes they've messed up? If you're dealing with a narcissist, it's important to protect your emotional well-being. Acknowledge that their responses, denial, gaslighting, defensiveness, and insincere apologies, are part of their narcissistic behavior and not an indication that they are truly capable of change. Setting boundaries is crucial when dealing with a narcissist, especially if you want to preserve your own mental health. Don't allow them to manipulate you into thinking that their mistakes are somehow your fault or that their false apologies mean anything. It's also important to remember that narcissists rarely change. While they might temporarily adjust their behavior, their core traits of self-centeredness, lack of empathy, and need for validation remain unchanged. The most important thing is to take care of yourself. You deserve to be in relationships where accountability, empathy, and respect are mutual. If you find yourself stuck in a cycle of manipulation with a narcissist, seek support. Therapy, self-care, and support from loved ones can help you rebuild your sense of self-worth and make healthier decisions moving forward. Thank you so much for staying with me throughout this discussion on what happens when a narcissist realizes they've messed up. I hope you've gained a better understanding of the behaviors, reactions, and tactics narcissists use to avoid accountability for their actions. The truth is, their ability to manipulate and protect their ego often prevents them from ever truly acknowledging their mistakes in a meaningful way. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, you deserve relationships where your feelings are validated, your needs are met, and your boundaries are respected. Take care of yourself and stay strong.